run the rest of the meeting. We've got two budget amendments, right, Mr. Gill?
Yes. And the reason we need to do these two budget amendments, as Mr. George said, is to add those to the regular health ed agenda. So, school board will vote on the first two. Number 9 is career ladder extended contract. This amendment reallocates $22,600 already budgeted state career ladder and extended contract funds and the related $934 benefits to other career ladder and extended contract lines. It also covers a vacation payout for 12-month employee who will be retiring at the end of this year from already budgeted labor dollars. And recommendation is to amend $22,600 already budgeted state career ladder and extended contract funds and related $934 in benefits to other career ladder and extended contract lines to amend $15,506 for vacation payout as presented.
So moved. Sorry.
Any discussion or questions from the school board? We do this every year, don't we, Mr. Gill?
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted.
10 is a GPS amendment within major functions. This amendment reallocates $918,744 in already budgeted non-labor expenditures within the major functions. No new funds are being used. The largest change is $600,000 for utilities, and the next largest is $139,000 in maintenance expenditures. This is a routine cleanup amendment, and we typically have a few of these at this time of year. Recommend that you amend a total of $918,744 in already budgeted non-labor expenditures within the major functions as presented.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion's adopted. George, take it away.
You want to adjourn your meeting?
Sorry?
You want to adjourn your meeting?
Well, this is a joint meeting, isn't it?
Or your budget meeting? No.
Oh, well, if you want me to.
Yeah.
You're the one with the money.
Oh, no.
Okay, well.
I have no money personally.
The school board meeting is adjourned.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Burns. Let me add my welcome to everyone, school board members and budget committee as well. And Chairman Joyce Ely, of course, is with us, and the mayor, Mayor Burgess, and also a special welcome to Dr. Bullen for being with us this evening as well. Our purpose is not only to go through these amendments, and which we'll begin in just a minute, but also, of course, to hear the school board budget proposal. First thing we need to do, Health Ed Committee, is to approve the minutes, and like a motion and a second on that, if we could, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Off to a wonderful start here, Ms. Shelton. Community Care Report, Health Department Report, and Special Projects Report. I requested those people and fine department heads, one and all, to hold those proposals if they could, since we had such an extensive meeting. Mayor Burgess, I don't believe any of those people are here, and do you have anything particularly on that? I think they all agreed to wait, so I think we're in pretty good shape, which brings us to the school board amendments. And Mr. Sandig and Director Gill, welcome to you both, of course, and welcome you to your own building. But anyway, nice to see you both, and Ms. Michaels as well. It's always great to see her. Let's begin with the amendments. And Mr. Gill, one thing, and Health Ed Committee, now we've got a wide range of people here, and I may miss someone, so please let me know if you have a question on anything. And let's try I don't believe we have any problem here. I have a couple of questions, and you may have some, but let's at least try the first three, Mr. Gill, and then we'll see where we are as far as voting is concerned. If that's all right with the committee. If you have a question on anything, we can skip it, come back to it. Anything that you'd like to do is fine with me.
Yeah, I actually was hoping that we could take the first six and just recommend that you approve those. I know for cleanup amendments, but we certainly can.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I think
if you would, look over the first six. They're just essentially cleanup amendments, and we would recommend that you you pass those, if there are any questions, we'll certainly make an effort to answer them.
So that the general public will know, except for 9 and 10, and I think we had some information on one of those, but except for those two, the committee has had these, this material for, I think, well, I looked them over on the 20th, so we've had them at least since then. Are there questions from anyone on amendments 1 through 6? From any Health Ed Committee member? If not, I wanted to ask about number 5 there, Mr. Gill, just briefly. The startup expenditures at Central Middle.
What we did, we dedicated each of the first 2 years $150,000 to startup money for Central Magnet School. We arrived at that figure after kind of scrutinizing, what they had versus what they need. For example, in a normal school, we'd buy all their library books. We would have other expenditures. In Central, we had some books, but we needed others, and we thought after considerable discussion and the board, that 150 each of the first 2 years would be as much as we could allow at the same time would accommodate most of what they needed. So this is the second year that they'll get $150,000. This amendment particularly reallocates $139 of this already budgeted money to the budget lines where it will be expended. And that's kind of quick history.
What grade are we at? We're through 10th grade currently going with.
Yeah, we add 11th grade
next
next year, yes. And each of the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th will be full. 11th grade will be a few seats as we anticipated.
Any questions on amendments 1 through 6 and the motions attached from Health Ed member? Now, I'd like to have a motion on the first 6 amendments, please.
Then I'm going to read the recommended motion.
You want to read all?
Historically, I thought we've read the recommended motion.
I can do that.
That would help
Okay.
people watching this on TV know a little bit about what we're doing.
First one is on classified staff, and we're recommending that you amend $80,850 in already budgeted classified staff pay and the related $11,856 in benefits. 2 other classified staff lines is amend $55,000 in additional unemployment compensation for custodians by amending $55,000 from the custodian medical insurance line as presented. 2, certified staff, we're recommending that you amend a total of $473,438 in already budgeted certified salary and benefit dollars in order to cover $284,125 in certified staff pay, $147,000 in unemployment, and the related $42,313 in benefits as presented. 3, employee insurance. Recommended you amend $208,800 in already budgeted employee insurance to employee insurance lines that need additional funding as presented. 4, adult education grant. Recommend that you amend an additional $39,800 in State of Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development adult education grant revenue account numbers 46590 and 47590, and increase the related expenditures in account numbers 71600 and 72260 as presented. The next one is Central Magnet School Startup Funds. Recommendation is that we amend $139,196 of Central Magnet School's budgeted startup funds to the budget lines as presented. And 6, substitute teachers, recommend that you amend $359,100 in already budgeted substitute teacher pay to other substitute teacher lines in the budget as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. Okay, let's make the offer again. Are there questions on any of the 6? If not, I'd like to have a motion on those, please.
Motion approved 1 through 6.
A second? Thank you, Commissioner Allen. All in favor, if there's any discussion, whoops. That's right, we got to call a roll, don't we? That's why you're here. This is 1 through 6, okay?
Commissioner Allen? Aye. Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Amendment 7, Skill.
Jeff, go ahead and accept that.
All right. This amendment addresses some $271,995 in additional program and some miscellaneous revenues, and budgets these revenues to cover different needs, most of them relating to the revenue streams. $56,000 is driver's ed money, which will go to the driver's ed program. We are adjusting the budget for coordinated school health. Revising, which we do this every year, the expenditures for Safe Schools, a grant, both of those are grants from the state. Budgeting part of this year's Jennings-Jones grant, I build part of that, what has been the recurring part into the budget each year. We generally get additional funds. Cover leave in the maintenance department for an employee who left. We just haven't had a vacancy there this year. Covers some expenditures in transportation, primarily related to a bus repair of one of our school-owned buses. Cover a 2009-10 purchase order that was liquidated in error. And transfer the $68,280 proceeds from the sale of property at Cedar Grove School to the building program to be added to funds for the next elementary school. The recommended motion being to amend 271,995 in additional program-related and miscellaneous revenues, and 271,995 in additional expenditures as presented.
Questions for Mr. Sandvik or Mr. Gilden? I want to remind you that the finest educational staff in the state is also here, so sitting behind you over here, so they can answer any question as well. Anything on Amendment 7 from Health Ed? If not, I need a motion, please, on 7 and a second.
Move to approve Amendment 7.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Second, Commissioner Turner, thank you. Call the roll again, Shelton.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Revenues, Mr. Sandy.
Eighth Amendment budgets an additional $5,327,988 in net 2010-11 revenues, an additional $849,476 in net expenditures, and increases fund balance by $4,478,512. $3.3 million of the revenue is local, and essentially $2 million of it is state. The expenditures, $612,584 into the textbook line. We can save $778,000 by ordering all of our K-2 math adoption now instead of spread out over the next 6 years. They're offering a phenomenal discount. $80,000 more in trustees commission to use of higher local revenues. $387,000 in contract vehicle owners, the fuel price adjustment and mileage capacity changes in our transit and special ed buses. And then 2 reductions, one of $208,304. We only had to make 3 payments on the energy sensor loans this year. I had budgeted for 12. And so one on principal and then a $21,804 reduction on interest expenditures.
Questions? Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Serena. Michelle?
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Okay, go to the smaller sheet there that the school board approved in their shortest meeting in the history of the school board. Just a few minutes ago, a career ladder extended contract and a GPS amendment. And I think we better hear them again.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Career ladder extended contract amendment reallocates $22,600 already budgeted state career ladder and extended contract funds and the related $934 benefits to other career ladder and extended contract lines. Also covers a vacation payout for 12-month employee who will be retired at the end of the year from already budgeted labor dollars. The recommendation is to amend $22,600 already budgeted state career ladder and extended contract funds and the related $934 in benefits to other career ladder and extend contract lines, and to amend $15,506 for vacation payout as presented.
Let's take that one by itself as well, Mr. Gill, just for sake of clarity. Any questions on the career ladder extended contract from the health ed member? If not, I need a motion to approve in a second.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Turner, thank you for the second. Any discussion? All in favor, oh, no, you got to call a roll? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Director Gill? Ms. Sandy?
GPS amendment within major functions. And this amendment reallocates $918,744 and already budgeted non-labor expenditures within the major functions. No new funds are being used. The largest change is $600,000 for utilities, and the next largest is $139,000 in maintenance expenditures. This is a routine cleanup amendment, and we recommend to amend $918,744 in already budgeted non-labor expenditures within major functions as presented.
Questions from anyone? Health ed? If not, I need a motion on the number 10 and a second.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Second?
Second.
Allen, thank you. Shelton?
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Okay, general purpose school budget, and is that,
I think centralized
There's
cafeteria.
one more.
On the back page.
Page 4.
two more, they both
Two more.
involve the cafeteria, my fault.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Centralized cafeteria budget amendment. This is the year-end adjustment amendment for cafeteria fund. Budget for an additional $342,382 in revenues and $342,382 related expenditures. There's no change to fund balance in this amendment, and recommend that you amend the centralized cafeteria fund for additional $342,382 revenues and additional $342,382 expenditures as presented.
Questions, anyone? Appreciate everyone's patience with this. This is the end of the year, and there's a lot of things to wind up as school closes and the budget year comes to an end, so most of these are routine things. But if there are questions, need to say so now and ask it. If not, I'd like to have a motion, please.
To approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Sereno. A second?
Second.
Commissioner Phillips, thank you.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. One more.
Major capital repairs budget amendment. This amendment reallocates $14,750 in already budgeted expenditures in the major capital projects fund, $177 to the accounts where they will be needed this year for approved projects. The $500 in trustees commission will cover growth in local revenues. The architect fees are for the grease interceptors and backflow prevention at Central Magnet School. The engineering fees are for wastewater systems at Tipple and Las Casas schools. and we recommend that you amend $14,750 already budgeted expenditure in a major capital project Fund 177, Trustees Commission, Architect and Engineering fees.
Thank you, Mayor Gill. Questions from Health and Ed at all? Anyone? If none, need a motion, please.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Turner, Church?
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Okay, refer you to the 5-page budget summary and the many pages, actual budget line item by line item. You probably have 2 copies of both there in front of you. And are there any changes on that before I finish my thought on those, on the 5-page summary?
Minor change.
Minor changes, okay. Mr. Sandvig, just explain, if you would, on the 5-page summary, the blue writing, just so that the general public understands what we're talking to when we get to it.
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, we kind of have a plan with respect to how we'll report that, and I'll make sure that everybody understands what's going on.
Okay.
If I jump out there too fast, I'm not confused, so
Well, if you're ready to,
I think we
present
are.
the budget, we're ready to go.
I think we are, thank you, sir. Our budget, kind of a few statements, basically mirrors last year's budget, with the exception of there's a small raise in there for the entire staff across the system. Also, we're having to absorb some positions that we paid out of federal money last year, out of ERA funds, which is going to be a big part of the increase. And those funds dried up. We intentionally made sure we didn't commit too much of that money to recurring positions, but we did have to do some because we knew that they would ultimately be needed anyway. That'd be a big part of this will be benefits for employees. And obviously, in Rutherford County, we have to always deal with growth. We figure this budget based on about 2.5% student growth and the necessary certified and classified staff that would accommodate that growth. So all that said, I'll give you the real specifics on why we'll need a $9.8 million increase from last year to this year. Last year, our budget, as it reflects on page 1, as Commissioner Jordan said, of this sheet titled Rutherford County Schools 2011-2012 General Purpose School Budget Summary. If you see 2010-2011 is amended, this year's budget was $257,048,481. We're asking for an increase of $9,835,329, or 3.8%, which is reflected as the 2011-2012 budget of $266,883,810. Further breakdown is staffing is $161,768,966. Benefit $56,830,682. Other expenditures $45.4 million. Equipment and debt service also reflected. So why is it that the school board needs $9.8 million more dollars? And at the bottom of that page, and at any point, if anyone has questions and they want to interrupt me, please do so. Bottom of that page where it says expenditures, $2,974,097 of that increase will be committed to raise a state raise of 1.6% for the existing staff. That's certified and classified. And the raise, 1.6% raise for our certified staff is the equivalent of $2,544,245. And classified is $429,852, or $2,974,097. That's money needed for a 1% raise requested by the governor. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, flipping to page 2, or turning to page 2, if you'd rather turn than flip. With respect to growth, Central Middle is expanding and adding another grade. We've dedicated 5 additional teachers there, specifically for Central Magnet. Also, we'll need 3 additional ESL teachers to serve English second language teachers to serve 2,101 students, an increase of 174. Rutherford County is the 3rd largest ESL school district in the state, behind Shelby and Metro. Pretty staggering when you think about it. 3, we'll need elementary intervention in order to prevent Title I supplanting issues. And in order, when we hire people out of title money, we have to, as it suggests, make sure we don't supplant it. We have to turn around and hire folks out of local money too. And these positions are critical with respect to our academic successes. So there are 3 positions dedicated there. We also have 35 growth positions. And if you multiply 35 times 20, obviously that's 700, and hopefully that'll get us by. But, we picked up about 800 this year. And incidentally, I know Paper Day reported that we had 37,000 students. We are well above 37. We're at 38,200, I believe, at year's end. So I suspect we'll trickle over 39 this year. Okay, the next function, special ed teachers. Now, everything reflected in blue are positions we already had, but we're having to assume those salaries. And again, we're not adding anything there. We had 4 special ed teachers that we've been paying through ERA money, and those are teachers that we had to have anyway to be in compliance and also to make sure students received the services they needed. So we just took advantage of that ERA money and paid them out of that, knowing all the while we'd have to come back and ask that be paid out of state and local money now. Also, we had a behavioral specialist. We'll have to assume that salary. An autism specialist will assume that salary, and also a compliance liaison. Now, the next positions are new positions. We need, if you ask the principals, they'd say you need a lot more than this. But we're trying to get by as best we can to make sure that we don't force anybody to vote on a property tax increase. But we need 3 special ed growth positions, 3 CDC growth positions, and 1 behavior growth position. And also we are needing another part-time spectrum growth position. And again, that's all a result of the fact that we continue to grow. So that's 14.5 positions there that we'll have to pay out of local money and state money, and that's a total of $609,886. That's not factoring in benefits. Next, we'll be taking over the salaries of 3 speech and language teachers that were funded by ERA money. That's a total of $141,865. Also, there'll be 8 new vocational ed or CTE teachers that'll be needed for growth and to make sure that we meet the mandated expectations of the state's career paths. As you probably recall, we went to, as part of the American Diploma Project, the state required more credits to graduate, and when they did, it really required local districts to hire more, 1, teachers, and secondly, more CTE or career technical ed teachers. And so, pretty interesting, we had a meeting with the new commissioner yesterday. One of the things that I personally brought out was quit, and I know Mr. Jernigan will appreciate this, quit mandating things that require that the local school districts have to fund them. If you're going to do these things, help us fund these positions. And he wrote it on his pad, and he didn't say anything. I don't I don't know
So
if it's,
there's nothing in BEP money or anything that'll come from this mandate?
probably very little.
Just our growth in
Yeah.
students,
Okay, so that,
very, nothing specific.
Yeah, but not the
so even
full.
if no students want to go into these vocational programs, we got to offer them? Is that what what's being said?
Oh, yeah, we've got to offer them, if they choose that path, yes, absolutely. And you know, the irony is, and we've, Mr. Journeyman and Mr. Hodge are both serving on a CTE committee that we've got, exploring all the needs, and you know, it's pretty amazing, the CTE, the kids that are enrolled in those programs are graduating, what, 98, 99% of those kids are graduating, they're experiencing tremendous success. So, you know, the more we can get in there, the better I think it bodes for the district. All right, so anyway, next, we'll be assuming the salaries of 2 psychologists that have been working and we've been paying through air money. Those folks basically partake in testing, students' individual education programs, et cetera. Obviously, those are positions we gotta have. Also, the state now is I'm sure everyone is aware, has changed the tenure law and now requires that every teacher, regardless of whether they're considered a probationary teacher or a tenure teacher, be evaluated. And to the point, it's just probably going to overwhelm administrators, and we're trying to find a way to pull this off. At the same time, let them carry out their other duties. So we're going to hire 5 evaluators. And that'll be their sole responsibility. They'll be retirees, and they'll work on a 120-day contract. We're not paying benefits on that, right? Or are we?
Very
Very,
few.
very little, okay.
Yeah, Medicare.
Yeah, so we're paying 5 teacher evaluators, and we don't have any wiggle room on it. We've got to have those folks. So that's 78.5 total positions that we've just talked about for an additional $3,203,484. And when you factor in the benefits, $507,687 for FICA Medicare retirement, also an additional $617,400 in insurance for new certified staff. That totals $4,328,571. And if you add back to that, $2,974,097 that the governor says he wants teachers to get a 1.6% raise, you've gobbled up a lot of money already. Okay, are there any questions so far? And I think we could all agree
Yes,
that.
I have 2 or 3 here.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, on the, on page 1, I noticed that, I believe from your line item budget, $533,000 of that $720,000 with computers. And I was just wondering how we're doing
Where are you on?
system-wide.
You on a different page?
I'm on page 1,
Okay.
on the equipment portion.
Okay.
I was just wondering how we were doing with our computer updates system-wide.
We've had to slow down some. We do have budgeted some money in there this year because a lot of the computers are getting older and we're trying to update the processors. I think we budgeted $400,000. Yeah, $500,000 to go back in and start working on computers. We're not where we need to be.
Director Gill, on page 2, you mentioned a growth of about 800, which 35 teachers there to cover that, which 20 students per classroom would be 700. And you know, you're not sure obviously exactly how, but I want you to address this, if you would, with everybody here in the listening audience. Just stopping at that and saying, well, that's 20 students for every teacher. It doesn't work that way, right? I mean, it works differently in the lower grades, differently in the upper grades. You can add 1 student and have to add a teacher, that kind of thing. Would you mind addressing that for just a moment?
No. The state mandates through the basic education program that we have a 20 to 1, no more than an average of 20 to 1 in grades K through 3, 4 through 6, it's 25 to 1, 7 and 8, 30 to 1, and they strongly encourage 30 to 1 at the high school, even though you can go above that. So there are mandates, and if you circumvent the state's mandates, then you jeopardize your funding. So you don't have any real wiggle room there with respect to your allocation of teachers. I would say Rutherford County, you know, ideally, we could reduce the pupil-teacher ratio, but we're not able to do that, and we really hold the schools at almost, in almost every instance to the state mandated pupil-teacher ratio. If we ever get an opportunity, we try to help out some of the title schools who we know those kids would benefit by a smaller pupil-teacher ratio. We don't have the luxury to do that very often. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, I think so. One other thing on that same page, on page 2, and I want to kind of follow up a little bit on what budget member, Commissioner Schaefer said on the teacher evaluators, and I think we understand how you feel. You made that pretty clear. I echo that, but I would, I'm positive, but it needs to be said, the state is not going to send us that $178,985,000, are they?
Oh, no, not only they're not gonna send us that, they're not gonna send us money for the
Right.
165 iPads that we have to buy, so there's a checklist on there. And you might say, well, do you really have to buy them? Yes. You know, we'll be going through, and there'll be software that actually helps the teacher, helps the administrator or the evaluator in what to look for, and they'll be checking this list, and it'll be done on that iPad, and it helps configure whatever the total, you know, the scope of the total evaluation, so don't help there either.
This is a good spot right here, Director Gill, I think, to pause. This is about 80% of the increase, and bring our budget committee in on this, and reminding everyone here that Commissioner Jordan serves on both committees. So, are there questions here from the Rutherford County Budget Committee? They're all of whom are here, our Health and Ed folks, either one on pages 1 or 2.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
We talked about an increase. I think you factored in 2.5% for the coming year. What was it that you factored in for last year, and was that realized?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, as you know, there have been years we've had 4 and 5% growth, and the market has cut back. But, you know, you take 2.5% of 38,000, you're probably talking about 1,000 kids. And I think it's realistic to think that we'll see 1,000 kids. I think we grew by, at one point, we were just under 900 this year.
So the answer is yes, we figured in 2.5% last year, and we realized that? So that's a yes?
I feel like I'm on the witness stand. Yes. You want me to just answer the question?
That's
Yes.
a place that some of us have been kind of accustomed to being the last 6 months or so, and we didn't like it either.
We've been there a time or two ourselves.
Commissioner Phillips, we have to remember, though, the 2.5% last year, and you add 800 or 900 onto it, that in absolute numbers, it's more kids the next year, which means more teachers, just because it's not a percentage.
Just
The snowball's getting bigger.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a good way to
If
put
we
it.
had an 8,000 student school system, 2.5% would be a
Sure. Small
much
number.
smaller number, you know.
I'm just trying to get a base for if we're predicting this year for the coming year, if our predictions for last year was accurate, and the answer is yes, I'm fine with that. Let me just follow up on that teacher evaluation 120-day contract. I'm just a simple math kind of a guy, but for $179,000 for 5 people, that's almost $36,000 a person. And I think if you multiply that out, it's almost $300 a day for, in essence, a part-time job. Is that correct?
I didn't multiply it out, but yeah, I mean, they're paid they're paid based on their salary, I mean, based on their experience and degree.
And we're going with 100% retirees coming in off of that.
Yes.
And there are no additional benefits attached to that. It's just straight salary and that's it.
I think there may be some Medicare, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's the cheapest way to do business. I mean, if we hired full-time evaluators, if we hired 3 or 4, and paid them full benefits, it would be substantially higher than that.
You know, it's just the initial amount for a part-time employee over a year seemed to be quite a bit, but now that we've discussed it a little bit and you've explained it, I feel a little bit better about that. But the initial figure was, seemed to be.
The dilemma we're faced with is, like, you take some of these high schools, for example. I mean, Ms. Barnes, what, they got 150 teachers? Every teacher in that building's got to be evaluated, observed, and evaluated anywhere from what, 4 to 6 times? 4 to 6 times. Times, say, 150, what is that? To figure that out, that's 700 to 800 observations by administrative staff of 5 people. I mean, it's going to overwhelm those folks. And I'm not sure this, you know, at the end of the day, this will make it, this will ease the pain some, but I don't think it'll totally rectify the situation. I mean, we just got to do this. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Gill, you and I both have been, and others in the room as well, in that evaluation process. I think we evaluated in the average year maybe 25 of Laverne High School, and there was 4 people doing it, and it was almost impossible. You had, I'm not sure of the rules and regulations now, which really, I'm asking you this, but we had to have a pre-evaluator meeting, and then a post-evaluation, and then the actual evaluation. And it had to be done if it was non-tenured. 3 people, now it's everybody in the building. I don't know who these 5 people are, but they better be good. I think it's impossible, frankly, but I know there's new rules. Also, and then this, I think it does maybe help myself and Mr. Phillips maybe a little bit here. Does this include the librarians, guidance people as well?
You talking about all the positions that are
Evaluations,
reflected?
yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I believe we evaluated also an assistant principal. It was her year. I believe we evaluated Dr. Kennedy. Anyway, I couldn't do that. I didn't have the training.
Right.
But I think Dr. Stauffer had to do it. He was the only one in the building had it's considerable training that's necessary.
Yeah.
And it's gotten a lot worse since you and I left.
Yeah, we actually have 4-day training planned in June for all administrators. And then they changed the protocol on assistant principals. Like, for example, every principal's got to be observed 3 times, I believe. You know, it's going to be tough on our administrative staff. They have to be myself or the assistant superintendents doing it. But obviously, we have to do what we're told to do.
Other questions on page 1 or 2?
Mr. Chairman, on the same lines, I just wanted to
Yes, sir.
get that conversation.
Absolutely.
You have the normal evaluations. I don't want to keep beating on this, but I'm just trying to understand. 5 people definitely not going to take care of it, but I mean, your principals, assistant principals have been doing this evaluation type process for years and years and years.
Right.
But this is an extensive type evaluation. This is,
You have more evaluations. Some of them are, and Ms. Barnes has done most of the research. I mean, she's been to the meetings. Some of the evaluations require full-scale evaluations. Some of them are just drop-throughs, use your checklist. Some are more extensive than others. And we'll also be training some people down here to go out in the field and help out as needed. But
I'll say these are 5 people for 4 months, so it's still really going to come down on the principal,
oh
assistant.
yeah, the principal ultimately has to do the I guess you'd call it the summative. Is I guess what you call it. You know, so which would require some folks to meet, as Commissioner Jordan said, maybe the assistant principal, maybe one of the evaluators. Principal have a sit down real quick and determine how Commissioner Sandlin did and score you.
Now, the end product of this, the purpose of this, what is it? What's it going to?
To improve teacher effectiveness. You know, part of the evaluation, part of the final evaluation, 50% is based on, 35% on their test scores and value added, 15% they have say-so with respect to what that component is. The other 50% is, I guess, subjective with respect to how the principal and the evaluator see their performance. That's all, this is what they've been talking about at the Hill for the last
Right.
6 months. Part of it, yeah.
I follow up on the same thing. I got, because the way I'm seeing it, and I went back on page 17 of 31, it said 154,000 back there, and it may be different from,
There's some
but,
BEPC money there.
okay. Well, this 154,000 or 179, plus the other for those mandated CTE positions, not saying they're not good by any means, but that's 570,000 it said. And on top of that's what it's actually costing us, so that means that we gotta get, that's gotta be what, 17% more to cover, because that goes to the city of Murfreesboro too, doesn't it?
Only if it's K-6 money.
The shi-
With these career people, these 5 people that are coming in, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, if the others though are, if they're above the 6th grade, that we're okay on, right? So we just don't evaluate elementary teachers, and we saw.
Commissioner P., would you hold just 1 second, please? Commissioner Allen, did you have a question a moment ago?
Commissioner Sandlin asked my question. I wanted
Okay.
to make sure that we were supplementing the principal's evaluations and not replacing them.
Okay. Commissioner P.?
Just had a question on the number of people you're asking for, 78.5, and I'm looking at the list. I know that you said you were having approximately estimating 800 students, which.
Yeah, and there are some more positions on page 3 of 5 too. We haven't gotten to.
That's part of that 78.
That's up to 78 and a half right
No,
now.
actually, it's more than that, I believe. Yeah,
Well,
we're asking for a total of 100.68.
Okay. Well, I was just trying to get a feel of actually how you're looking at staffing that. Are you using the 20 per teacher as a rule of thumb?
Yes and no. I mean, part of those positions are additional, where we're absorbing those ERA funds.
Right, there's 12
Yeah,
of
but
those.
20 to 1 is what we typically use.
Well, 20 to 1, that'd be 40 and 800, and then
Yeah.
you got the ARA that you're picking up, it's another 12, so it's 52. You got your mandated, people we were just talking about, evaluated, another 5, so it's 57. The others that are in there, are those mandated positions that you're picking up? I noticed that like special ed growth, CDC growth, that kind of thing.
You know, they don't,
Is that something you're?
yeah, it's not necessarily mandated, but I mean, you've got to be in compliance with IDEA, you know, with special ed laws, and I mean, you have to be realistic with respect to how you staff those kind of classes. You know, those are special needs kids, and you can't, you know, I don't think that we'd be frowned on if we overpopulated special ed classes and those kind of deals. And, you know, our obligation is to make sure that those guys have quality opportunities too. And I think every principal in this county would say, I need more special ed help. You know, I don't think there's any question, so.
Well, to follow up on you saying that, with these evaluators out here, the thing that just jumps up at me from talking to teachers is they don't get to choose what students come into their classrooms. And if you have a class that's got several special needs students in there, and they're having problems with their test scores, and 50% of these evaluations on these teachers are coming from their test scores, I mean, seems to me that you could really skew the evaluations on some of these educators that are probably doing a good job for you. But I don't know, is that something that they're taking into consideration?
That's a real good question. What's the provision there, do you know?
If a teacher doesn't have TBAS data associated with their particular class, then they can pull from the school-wide TBAS data, and there'll be other drop-down menus of items they can select from in conjunction with their principal, and they can pick that summative evaluation. So they're looking at other mechanisms that they can use for teachers that don't have a direct TBAS score associated to their classroom.
So in other words, they won't necessarily be held to the same standard as a regular ed teacher.
A different menu of options.
What about if it's an inclusion kid, for example? I think that's what Commissioner Peete referred to. Are they coded to the regular ed or the special ed teacher?
I think it's a 50-50. They have to put in the amount of hours that they serve that child during the day, so it's a 50-50 split, or it could be a 90-10
Sounds like,
that TVAS data that's associated with them from that program.
sounds like you're gonna need a lot more than 5 people to do these evaluations, so.
Exactly correct.
Then go to your left.
Are there other questions? Yes, sir. Commissioner.
About 30% of the budget increase has to do with the state mandated 1.6% salary increases. Does the state provide you with financial assistance to pay those increases?
Yeah, about half of it.
Does that show up in the revenue line on page 1?
Yes. I mean, we, obviously, we'll get more money from the state than we did last year. For example, if you refer back to line 1, we anticipate, where's the revenue? How much more state money do you anticipate?
In the B, right now, I've built in 3.8 million
Additional state revenue?
additional state revenue.
And we know that there's going to be, I think, Mayor's here, and I don't know if Lisa's here or not. Is Lisa here? I know there was, what, a 2.5% increase in sales tax and property tax revenue this year, wasn't it?
I don't know that number. Our sales tax revenue is up 6% plus right now.
But anyway, we anticipate 3.5 more million from the state to help with that. Okay, page 3, if there are no other questions. Full-time equivalent, there are other positions, we'll have to have 2 more nurses. Nurses, typically, a lot of times they're driven by, or most of the time they're driven by student needs. We have some students in schools that must have nursing care. And as we're a growing system, obviously, that too will grow.
Are these roving, or are they situated
No,
in
I
those?
don't think any of them, they're assigned to some places split. Yeah, there are some nurses that cover more than one school, yes.
Not many.
Not too many, yeah.
But these are assigned.
Yes. The next line, 3.2, and that's based, 3.2 is based on number of hours for, the 3.2, what do you call it, equivalent, full-time equivalent. So, we'll actually be employing 5 more people for ESL, Title III EAs that we had to move to GPA per audit. In other words, the audit, they told us to employ more people. And so while there's 5 people, their hours will be the equivalent of 3.2 folks. Next, ESL growth, 2 people. Again, I told you a while ago, we are picking up 140 some odd more ESL students. Regular ed growth, 3 folks, 3 positions. That's a total of 6.3 regular ed EAs that we'll be adding. Now, you may recall a few years back, we always assigned EAs on a K2, 1 per 3 teachers. And in order to keep from cutting positions in the district over time, we cut back and assigned them 1.1 to 4 classes, 1 EA to 4 classroom teachers, which saved us a considerable amount of money. EAs are a cheaper way to help kids. Obviously, they're not a teacher, but oftentimes they contribute big time towards student productivity. And they don't just go in there and do cafeteria duty or work in the office or clean the halls. That's not their responsibility. They're actually in there assisting with instruction. The next line, there's 3 additional positions that we're taking over from ERA funds. And they are another autism person, Browns Chapel EAs, there were 3 folks, and special ed EAs at 6 different schools, 3.7 equivalent positions. And that's 6.24 more positions that we're having to take over in this year's budget that we paid out of ERA funds last year. Also, adding a few hours back to GP due to Title I limitations to an accounting clerk. There'll be some additional hours added for a custodian. We have a formula that we use based on where portables are and numbers, but we're only adding one half-time custodian in the whole district. 2 more maintenance workers because 2 of the middle schools now are off warranty. Also, we've got to have another person in transportation, so we'll be adding a 10-month clerical position. I think that's the only position down here we're adding, I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. 2 computer technicians. We do our own wiring, and as Commissioner Jordan said, we got a lot of computers out there that our folks work with. Next, a cabling and a bus camera person. This person will assist technology in running cable and doing those kind of chores. In addition, we'll train them to repair bus cameras. Our contract with, who was our contract with? Genesis is no longer in place. So we think it's cheaper to do that than it is to contract out. And also Browns Chapel Pre-K, there'll be 2 EAs that will be assuming those salaries. And that's another 22.18 position for $680,994. And if you add in the benefits below, it's a total of $810,610, which we'll be adding or assuming the salary of 100.68 positions in the district for $5,334,051. And page 4 just reflects some increases or some deducts across the district. Example, $20,000 more for contract services with Genesis charges for homebound students. We don't employ homebound teachers, we contract that out. There's a deduct of $195,000 for instructional materials, $150,000 for other materials, and you can kind of look through that. We'll be budgeting more at the bottom. We show $450,000 more for electricity. I'll give you a second to look at that, see if there are any questions on 3 and 4. And then we'll get to page 5.
How many portables do you anticipate on having to move?
How many we move, Mr. Clark?
11 classrooms.
11 classrooms.
And keep going with it, how much does it cost to move one?
What's $8,000 a piece to move a portable? How many portables are we moving?
How many altogether?
Yeah.
There's 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
And we have wiring.
Yeah. So all
We
set
have
up.
other things
Building ramps,
wind up.
things. I think we've really encouraged principals to hang in there as long as they can, so we don't have to move. That's a dreaded expense, but it comes with it. They're not in the best of condition. Some are better than others.
Mr. Allen?
Mr. Gill, on, under regular education, the line you've got bolded there, 722, instructional equipment starting to get back on track with replacing obsolete computers. Is that for teacher computers or is that for student use?
Student.
And are we beginning to develop a plan, a technology plan then?
We've got a plan. We've done upgrades periodically, and, we do a rotation through the school so that people are caught up. Clearly, when you build a new school, they have a distinct advantage over the older schools. That's the reason we have a plan in place with respect to upgrading. We've had to back off a little bit over the last couple of years because of financial restraints, but we had to get this back in here. A lot of the textbooks, the software won't run on the existing computers yet. So that's the reason we're dedicating this money to go in there and rectify that problem.
And I know that's a big concern because being in the north end of the county, we don't have as many new schools, sometimes. And I know that's a big concern for that end of the county as well, to make sure that we do stay up to date with technology.
I agree.
Thanks.
If you'll give us another $1 million, we'll do even more.
they only ask for 3.
Yeah. And the last page, are there other questions on 3 or 4? Last page, additional, we need an additional $1,007,000 for bus contractor payments. Right now, we budgeted 5 transit routes, and hopefully that'll be enough. $252,000, $63,000 for an additional special ed route, $205,000 fuel price adjustment funds. We have a fuel price formula in place that, with the increase, if there is an increase in the fuel rate, we compensate the drivers with the formula that's in place. And $186,000 raise to the bus drivers. That's based on 2%, a 2% raise. And there'll be a $35,000 data processing deduction for contracts. $61,000 to replace capital outlay funds transferred to the building program 2010-2011. And $88,000 net increase in other non-labor benefit line items. What's that, Jeff?
I attempted to explain things over or under $10,000. The rest of it netted to $88,000.
Okay. So that's another $1,982,000. So total for new staff and other items, $7,316,051. And I think that pretty well defines why we've got to have another $9.8 million to run the system. And if you look in your spare time at this next document, which reads, and I don't want to get ahead of Commissioner, if there are questions with respect to what we just reported, I guess now is a good time to ask.
Yeah, let's pause right here before
Okay.
you get to that.
I have a question.
Commissioner Al?
On the raise for the bus drivers, when was the last time they had a raise?
3 years ago.
3 years.
The third year back.
They have some consideration for fuel that does not include the raise. Okay.
Maintenance is, on the bus is higher than it's ever been.
I have another question on bus drivers. I had been told, and I don't remember my source on this, that they're eligible for unemployment during the months that they're off.
I'm unaware of that, no.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was anything that we had to pay into or if that was in, okay.
They're not employees, they're contractors.
Yeah, they're contract.
They're all contractors.
Now, maybe if somebody's working for a bus owner,
Okay.
they could get unemployment at that next level down. That's not the county's
The
responsibility.
county doesn't have to pay into that, okay.
But would that be under the bus driver instead of?
That'd be the bus owner's responsibility. If they've got an employee driving the bus for them,
Okay,
I'm thinking they might fall under that because that is their employee.
yeah, but you have a housekeeper, it falls under it.
Yeah, but that's not the county's
And
responsibility.
I have one last bus question. Are all of our buses equipped with the cameras now?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Working.
And so that
For the
person,
most part, they're all working.
yeah, so saying that person, the new position that you're talking about is to make sure that, to do the maintenance and make sure that they continue to, that they are functioning.
Say that again now.
Don't you have a position now where?
Yeah, well, we
monitoring that?
actually have, do you want to speak to that, Ms. Snell? Did you understand Commissioner Allen's question?
No, if you would, please give it to me again. Do we have a bus, someone who works on the camera system?
A maintenance person
Yes.
specifically dedicated to the camera system and
Yes.
making sure they're functional?
We do.
Okay.
But explain how we find out a camera's not working.
Okay. The camera system, they have what's called a little panic button on it. And the panic button has 3 lights. One light is for the GPS system, one light is for the power system, and one light is the amber system that is the record button, or record light. So if the record light is working, then the bus driver knows the camera's working by able to look at the panic button. And so their responsibility before they start their shift of driving the bus is to check that panic button to ensure that it's working. If it's not working, then they call us, notify us immediately that, hey, my amber light's not working, or my red light's not working, whichever light's not working. At that point, they can make a note of that, but they also are responsible for filling out a work order and turning that in within 48 hours. We then input that data into our work order system, and that system then is set up for the Campbell bus camera technician to check it, and he makes arrangements to go to that bus to find out why that light is not working.
And I assume that there's no way to put a temporary camera in place if one's not functioning, because he has to run his route. He can't not run the route because the camera's not working.
That's correct.
I'm just curious, is there any way to have a temporary camera? Because, you know, unfortunate things can happen when the camera's off.
No, ma'am, not at the present time. There's not a system where we can, the camera system is a fixed mounted.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You can't take it out. It's, in some of the buses, it's up inside the bulkhead and it's bolted in.
Okay.
So. and
There's no
it's
swap out.
It's tied into the turn signals, it's tied into the brake lights, it's tied into the speedometer. So we're able to verify if there's some issue that comes up about whether or not we stop there, whether or not they're speeding, we are able to look at that.
Other questions?
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead. All right. I have two simple ones, I think. One of them is, talk to people in Metro that are involved with different schools. And I would like to know, well, for example, I've been told that Stratford High School is reducing 16 teachers. It's a smaller one, I guess. It's only roughly 900 something thousand, something like that. And McGavick High School's getting rid of 31 teachers. How? How can they do that? I mean, you know, all I hear ever since I've been up here on the commission is maintenance of efforts you got to keep and all this. And you get rid of, where are they getting money? How are they making, are they that inefficient right now to have that many extra teachers in the school?
I don't know. I talked to Jesse Rest the other day, and I know the mayor of Nashville, they're giving them $37 million more. Yeah, I'm not sure how they're able to do that. I mean, the state, they've got, I think McGavick was taken over by the state. I don't know the status of Stratford. I mean, we watch closely. Matter of fact, I'll say this, in the last 3 days, Ms. Vick, Mr. Rakes, and someone else, I believe, notified us that they could get by with 2 less teachers in a particular area. And so we'll transfer them to where they're more needed. I mean, we are constantly looking for ways to reduce staff at the same time meet services, but I dare say we're not staffed like Metro is, I don't think. Plus, they're losing students down there.
My second question is discretionary spending, dollars that are given to the different schools. And I don't know, do you give it to just individual schools, or is there a pot, say, for elementary, and a pot for middle school, and a pot for high schools? And like for the comprehensive high schools, does each one get X amount?
The elementary gets X number of dollars per student. How much is it, do you know? 28. Middle gets?
The same.
And the high schools get more. How much?
45.
45.
And that's at basically the principal's discretion, and well, I'm sure it's field trips, all this kind of stuff comes out of that, doesn't it? No?
Yeah, it's just equipment, goes into teacher accounts for expenditures, copy bills. Go ahead, expand on it, Jeff.
We have 5 different accounts set up, maybe 4, on each school's books, and those monies have to be spent in accordance with the description of that account, instructional materials and supplies. The principal has latitude within that category, but it is spent on the instructional.
Kind of what we do when we approve your budget, then you could, in that category, okay.
If they don't spend it, we take it back.
Keep that in mind, right?
Yes, sir.
We're always asked, as taxpayers, constituents, whatever, in raises, and any time we do raises, you know, how is that affected? And you have 1.6% raise across the board. That's for school board personnel, teachers, everything that's under this budget.
I believe so, yes.
So is that broken down in any form, or is that somebody, there won't be a somebody over here that's getting a real big raise and a teacher or something over here getting a 1.6. It's across the board. Whatever you're making now, you're gonna get 1.6. There's nothing higher than that anywhere in this budget.
We've got 2 or 3 people that are getting raises because we felt like after a study that we conducted that they were grossly underpaid. And, but there's only like, I believe, a couple people to try to get them in line with what their salary should be. Other than that, it's the entire system. Everybody's getting 1.6, including classified, with the exception of the bus driver, they get 2%.
Could you get those to us before budget time, budget
You
meeting?
talking about the other 2 people?
If it's just 2, yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I'll have to look.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be happy to.
We normally get.
Although I would respectfully ask that you not, use as information only. I mean, I think, that salary increase is warranted, and, I hope you trust our judgment on that.
I don't know if you need to give individuals that time.
Sir?
I don't know what you need to give individuals to them when you're managing like it.
Well, we're usually pretty hammered on whether you're on the full commission or whatever committee or something, when there's something out of line with everybody else. And so that's what I was wanting to know, because in these figures here, here's the raises. And so if that's it in 1.6 throughout the whole process, there's not an issue. But there may be an issue, yes, if there's a $10,000 raise to somebody or a $20,000 raise to somebody, that's going to be out of kilter. And I just wanted to know if there was any of those. So if you've got 2, I'd appreciate if you could let us know that before budgetary time.
I will do that. I might disagree with what you're saying, but I'll be happy to get it to you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor?
I sort of want to ask the big picture question. I'm not sure they've had time to even do this yet, but we'll see if Mr. Sandvik is ahead of my thought process. This year, we had a $257 million budget, and we used $6.3 million of ending fund balance. We're going to increase our expenditures $9.8 million. So I was just wondering if you'd already projected these revenues close enough yet now, Jeff, that would tell us what our ending fund balance is going to be this year, plus what you're going to have to use next year, and sort of where we will land at the end of next year, because we're all very hopeful that we're going to continue to improve this ending fund balance so that we'll have some money to open a new high school. So I don't know if they can address that yet, but I think we have to have that information at some point. So I don't know when we should get it, but that's my point.
Yeah, we've obviously had pretty serious discussions with respect to your question. Go ahead.
I project after we close end of June, we will have about $16.5 million in fund balance. This revenue amendment put a net of over $4 million in. We will have expenditures that we will not use. It's impossible to spend 100% of our budget. So I gave Lisa a projection of $16.5 million, taking this $6.46 million. I think we'll be a bit over $10 million.
And Jeff, if we project forward to the next year, end of that year, haven't gotten there yet. I mean, I think we were both to see that.
I'm thinking along the similar lines, but Mr. Gill and I have had discussions on that issue. How we sales tax comes in. The ERA positions
Are using up a lot of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But our minimum that we have to keep is about, going to be with this new budget, about $8 or $9 million.
We should be.
But we need to be landing somewhere $5 million or so north of that number. Right. If we get it.
Well, I mean, what's the alternative if we've got to have $266 million?
I'm not saying there's an alternative. Maybe when you project forward and look at what we're going to take for the next year to open, you might
I think if we could, this budget summary by Object Code, which is really a pretty valuable instrument, if you look at that, I mean, it essentially mirrors what we did last year, minus these needed positions and minus the takeover positions. And I hope you'll take it home and look at it, and you'll see that basically it just deals with those, as I just said, necessary position and inflationary costs, inflationary anticipations. Those were kind of for your viewing.
Where do you want to go next?
Well,
You had.
I think it was
Kinda
you want.
Dinner, is that what you?
final somebody said it's a final episode of Dancing with the Stars, although I don't watch it.
Well, that's correct. Riverdale plays in just a few minutes.
Okay. I think, I don't know what.
You had another, some other information to impart there, or?
You know, these two documents and I know we've got some new commissioners here, and I know they're studying and trying to absorb a lot of information in a short time. But these two objects are what we call budget by function. It shows you kind of line items with respect to what we do. But again, this is kind of a condensed version. It's 4 or 5 page deal. And it will show you basically what we did last year and the year before. And almost in every case, the increase is just positions. And it's positions that, one, deal with growth, and two, positions that where we've taken over salaries of teachers that were employees that were on that era program. So, you know, this is really a revealing tool for you. And if you believe that we got what we should have gotten last year, you got to pretty much say, hey, the guys are really tighten their belts, and all they're trying to do is deal with the hand they're dealt here. And I hate to bring this up, I wasn't going to, but we're still one of the lower funded per pupil systems in the state. So it'd be, I don't know how we can get by with any less than what we're asking for.
We're doing a good job with the dollars we have.
I agree.
That's a plus, in my opinion.
I agree. Got teachers out there working hard, and principals, bus drivers, and nurses, and everyone else.
I believe the school with the highest per pupil ratio is not the highest test score. The highest cost per student. Is that not us?
Oh, yeah, I agree, yes.
Yeah, so spending more money doesn't necessarily make things better.
No, but I tell you, we'd like to have $30 or $40 million. We could do a lot of good things.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to give a little atta-girl before y'all get into your deliberations here. And it's something I noticed in the Tennessean over the weekend, and it was that in Middle Tennessee, 36 students so far this year. It runs through the end of June when they can take the ACT test. But 36 students in Middle Tennessee made a perfect 36 on the ACT. 4 of those go to Hume Fogg and Martin Luther King magnets. They're the main magnet schools, academic and in Metro, been around for quite a few years now. 2 went to Montgomery Bell Academy, which is, what, 15,000 plus a year? I'm sure we can all send our kids there. But 1 was from Williamson County at Brentwood High School. 2 were from Rutherford County, 1 from Blackman and 1 from Siegel. And I think that says a lot that even with the amount of kids we have in here, that we had 2 out of 9 in all of Middle Tennessee that made a perfect score on the ACT.
Well put, sir. Well, questions? We have 13 commissioners here in the room from Budget and Health Ed, and as I said, Mr. Jordan serves on both committees, so everybody's here. Questions?
I might note that it is mandated that one person off Health Ed serve on Budget, so,
That's correct. Dr. Burns, I'd like to give you an opportunity to speak to this for a minute, since you kind of speak for the school board. Anything you'd like to add?
I can't add much to what Mr. Gill and Mr. Sandvik have said. Those of you who've been around a while remembered when we brought the tiers, and we'd have 9 or 10 tiers of things we'd like to do, and the last couple of years, we've foregone that. And understanding the budgetary situation that the county is in, we really do think this is the leanest possible budget that we can bring forward that will allow us to do the same good job that we did this year. So I hope that came through in the presentation that Mr. Gill made. I think it did.
It is our charge to vote on this at some point, and if not, amend, and if not, change the total amount, whatever we're going to do, and then to send it on rather quickly to our budget committee. So if there are no further questions or comments on material presented to us here, I think it's probably time for a motion of some sort.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve as presented and forward to the Budget Committee.
Second.
Discussion from any health ed? You've heard the motion. Any health ed member?
Well, I will echo what Chairman Burns said. You know, in years past, I kind of complained or thought, you know, a little bit of games being played, different tiers, how far will you go, what can you stomach, what can you not? And I feel like the last few years, we've gotten a pretty tight, bare bones budget. Y'all come to the table, you brought what you really have to have, you know, and I'm not ready to sit there and say, well, let's 266.8, let's cut 300,000 out, go find it, you know, that would be a 0.5% on the tax rate or something like that, but I appreciate the job y'all are doing. Not that you weren't doing a good job before, but, you know, at one point in time, several years back, it was a little bit of an adversarial relationship. How much can you get? How little can we give? I think we're all on the same team now, and I think we're doing a better job.
I believe I can echo that, and just as an aside, say I certainly don't miss the tears at all. Those things were a nightmare, although I understand that it was not fair for y'all as well, for the school board.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I think we have a wonderful working group with the school board and with our county commissioners today. I can't say that when I first come on county commission, but I do, and I think they're very tight with their budget, and I appreciate all of us working together.
Well put. Any other health ed committee member with a comment? And we'll have, after she calls the roll, which she loves to do. She really does. She acts like she doesn't, but she really loves to call the roll. I have a few other comments that we need to make. If there's nothing else, discussion at all whatsoever? Okay, last call. Call the roll. I want you to read it again if you would.
The motion or
Please.
the roll?
Please.
Motion. Approve the 2011-2012 school board budget as presented and forward to the budget committee.
Okay.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Cook.
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes. Okay, well done, group. A couple of closing comments here. Ms. Ely, the Budget Committee now will entertain this and other items at your next meeting, which is when?
May 31st.
May 31. Yes, sir.
We actually have a cafeteria budget that needs approval, and I think it's one of the
Major capital projects, Fund 177.
Okay.
you have in front of you cafeteria. Blue bar top. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. The cafeteria budget has a blue bar across the top of it. We are anticipating $14,881,100 in revenue. Total expenses, $15,696,600. Going into fund balance, $815,500. This is the budget. There is a minimum amount that we can keep in fund balance. So we go into fund balance for equipment updates, upgrades, all of that. And these are, from what we know at this point in time, is the best one. We haven't gotten federal reimbursement rates yet. Some of these we'll find out later from the feds.
Cafeteria budgets of the new commissioners stand alone, and that's been true for a few years, and not that long. Go ahead with, if you will, with it. Yeah, please.
A recommendation?
Yes, sir.
A recommendation to approve the 2012 cafeteria fund budget. Revenues $14,881,100, and expenditures of $15,696,600.
Questions? If not,
I have a question.
yes.
On the Meal Pay Plus program, does the system earn money off of that, or is that fee just for the privilege of having the program?
The fee is just what
They earn for administrating it?
Yeah, the administrator earns. We earn nothing.
Other questions? Need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. Soriano, I believe, seconded that. Is that correct? Yes. Yes, okay. All roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Yes.
Commissioner Ford?
Yes. One more?
One more. The major capital projects, Fund 177. We are anticipating $2,353,213 in revenues, primarily from property tax. And we are asking for $2,423,064 in expenditures, and we would be using $69,851 from the fund balance in that fund. And the reason we are doing that is so we can get moving on the Kittrell sewer project. And the third page in that packet shows you the specific projects that this part is executing. Typical things we do here, primarily roofing, renovation, paving, and an HVAC system in addition to that sewer.
Okay, I don't have an attached paragraph or recommendation to mine, but you want these approved, obviously?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a recommended motion. Are we okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Questions? Commissioner Cook?
Under this, projects continued from fund balance, don't we put a % away for a roof and maintenance? Don't we have a fund?
And this is it.
This is that fund, okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm not on
Half
health
a
and
cent.
can I ask a question?
I would be delighted, sir.
The campus school's 400,000 there. Is this the last phase, or is this?
Was that, yeah, it's the last phase. Is that phase 2 or 3? Which is it?
Actually, phase 3.
Yeah, phase 3. And we should wrap that up by the end of next school year, correct?
So this finishes up our
Yes.
obligation?
Yes. I think the agreement's good to what year, 2016? I thought it was 2016, isn't it? Your agreement?
Oh, the agreement. We haven't seen.
So we're good for a few more years.
And that's, what is it, HVAC on Smyrna High School? Is that all, I mean, the whole thing?
Carter, you want to step up here and speak to that?
That's the,
I can ask you in budget, I just thought it'd be a good time now.
that's the units in a bunch of the classrooms up there that were in the original phase that go through the wall, and we've replaced them at Laverne, at Oakland, and Riverdale. So this will be the last group of those.
And you mentioned a while ago in your budget that we had some, going out of warranty. I guess that's our middle schools and elementary, the Stewart's Creek. Is that rolling off?
Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan.
Oh.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're setting good right now. I mean, everything's been taken care of if there was any problems on it, and
That's the case, isn't it, Mr. Clardy? Everything, any kind of issues with either of those two schools has been rectified or resolved?
We're all good. We're, have got a couple landscaping issues down at Buchanan, but we're addressing those. Should have those wrapped up pretty quickly.
Commissioner, okay?
yeah.
Any other questions or discussion on this final amendment? Do we have a motion?
We do.
We need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. A second?
Second.
Commissioner Turner, thank you. Is this the final thing that we can throw on the board? Okay. All right, well, go ahead.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Cook.
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan.
Well,
Commissioner Jordan.
Start again.
Commissioner Phillips.
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes. Oh, but a couple of other things here, and I hope the school board will just stay with us here. One, just a clerical matter, and I'm not sure anything is necessary, but our next meeting is scheduled for June the 28th, which of course, we didn't meet with our other groups, community care and health department, whatever, tonight. We can certainly do that on that night. That is one day after the tax rate is set, supposedly that morning, the 27th. Mr. Sandvig is a brilliant, eager, and enthusiastic person, but even he cannot come up with anything for us to do in 24 hours. So we'll have no school board business on that day. And so I did ask for an email to be sent to each of you to look further down and see if you wanted to change anything in June and July. And let me preface this by saying that, and so the general public will know as well, that we will have some business to attend to shortly after June 30th if you want to, where there's no emergency here. The bids will be open on June 30th for Stewart's Creek High School. And frankly, we're pretty far down the road as far as our part of that is concerned. The part that we are concerned about is the sidewalks, concession stands, bleachers, so forth at Laverne and Smyrna High School, which, if you recall, comes back through the Health and Ed Committee at that point.
Eagleville also doesn't.
And Eagleville, now let me address that, and an excellent question. Eagleville bids will be open, and Mr. Clardy was kind enough to give me the date, and I wrote it down, and of course I can't find it, but it's August.
The bid opening is August 16th on Eagleville.
August 16th on Eagleville. So on the 30th, of course, we will find out the bid on Stewart's Creek, and if we have any play or any whatever. Our next meeting after that will be the 20, I believe it's the 26th, and Commissioner Allen is looking at her phone, and I hope she has a calendar. I believe the 26th of July.
Correct.
All right, the last week in July has been a problem for committee members before due to vacation time and so forth, but I can tell you this, I will meet whenever you all tell me to meet. So we need to have some discussion as to possible dates or impossible dates. Maybe we need to start with the 28th. Do you want to meet the 28th?
Have we historically met in July? I thought we did not.
We did not last year.
In July. We don't usually have
We
meetings
won't,
in July.
we won't have the bids on Eagle at that point in time.
That
And
is correct.
personally,
So we can see the
I would
Stewart's
like to
Creek bids.
take the whole thing at one time. Laverne, football stand, Eagle have the total package presented to me. That's just me speaking, of course, because what I vote on Smyrna Laverne is gonna have to do with what's going on at Eagleville and things like that, so. Should we just wait and meet in August?
Then that, well, let's start with the 28th of June. Do we want to meet the day after we set the tax rate? And, because we haven't met with our other committees, and perhaps we should go ahead and meet with Health Department and Community Care and so forth on the 28th.
Those two reports will just be menial reports.
And the mayor makes an excellent point. That's,
We might as well cancel that meeting. The June 28th meeting.
okay.
In my, I think feel free to make.
Comments from committee members? Do I need a motion on that and a vote on that? I can
It can be
just
the committee
do it. I have this
consensus.
tremendous power and.
It's committee
The committee,
consensus.
if there's no objection from the committee members, we're not going to meet on the 28th of June. We'll be so happy the tax rate is set, hopefully, and we have pleased every citizen in Rutherford County, all of them. Okay. All right. Now, what about July?
Well, let me
Comment?
just say,
Yes.
technically, this June 28 meeting is your July meeting, because that would be before your July commission. So your meeting at the end of July is your August meeting.
Okay.
Who's gonna set you straight when Becky leaves?
I have no idea, but I assume she's out there somewhere. Then we won't change the 26th of July. We still will not know about Eagleville or anything, but we will have our regular business. And
County Commission's on the 11th of August.
I don't want, personally, I don't want to go 3 months without hearing from the other committees, so I think we should do
Agreed.
July.
Okay, we'll leave the July 26th, right? We'll leave that meeting in place then as is. Any other comment on the schedule? Okay, one other item, we're losing Ms. Shelton, as most of you are aware, and she has served this county for a good while, and at 39, she's retiring, and I'm not sure what she's going to do, but she says she has plenty to do, and I'll thank her personally, and I'll thank you for really all the committees, but I know they have already thanked you. She has done an excellent job, and without her, we probably would have missed half our votes, and at least a third of our votes in the past year. And I appreciate you very much, and I know the committee does, and a terrific job, and also the sending out of all our information, et cetera, that we always get in a timely manner. And I think you made a mistake one time. I can't remember when it was years ago. If there's nothing else, like Mr. Wise used to say, all minds at ease, we are adjourned. Thank you, committee. Committees.